There are more coaching vacancies, and actually a few of those have been filled already. We're going to talk tonight about some of the top teams in NAI football through the 2020s so far, and we may even answer the question, where's Doug been for the last 3 weeks? All that and so much more here on College Football This Week. It is episode 50. How about that, Doug? 50
How about
episodes
that?
for this little program that grows and grows and grows. I think it's a little program that could, and I think that it's going to grow more as we get into the summer and fall. But Doug Gann, it has been 3 weeks since we've had the opportunity to talk. I know there are things to talk about tonight, but really quickly as we greet everyone and we invite you to let us know in the chat from where you're watching and what NAI program you would be cheering for. How you been, man?
I've been doing really well. It's we talked a little off the air here. Louisiana in a nutshell. We're currently under a tornado watch, a freeze warning, a burn ban, and a wind advisory. So it's been business as usual for us. Of course, we've put in a lot of miles on the road during softball season, so we're up and down the highway. I've been to a place that I didn't know where it was. And it was 2 hour and 45-minute drive from here to go down and cover a softball game. But we're handing out invitations to our Pelican State All-Star game that we're going to do in May. And I had a coach reach out to me. And in Louisiana, the way the boot goes down, I asked the guy, I said, well, where are you at in relation to French Settlement, which is where I went? He said, about an hour and 15 minutes south of there. I was like, I thought the Gulf was an hour and 15 minutes south of there. So I've been just trying to keep up with the hardest working man in sports, which is you, and I'm just trying to do my part of it.
I don't know. You may have me these last 2 or 3 weeks. Shout out to Justin, by the way. And Justin, that was my thought exactly when he said all those things. That sounds just like Oklahoma. And I know, Justin, you're a little north of where I am right now. The wind, by the way, Doug, has already knocked some siding off my house. I'm a little disappointed about that. Of course, it happens on the weekend. But I'll get to that a little bit later on. I'm praying for the rest of it. But the wind, when my youngest daughter and I went to Walmart a little earlier today, was so intense in different parts of the state, it knocked out some of the cashiers, the registers. You couldn't go self-checkout at Walmart because the wind had knocked it all out. So there you go. That's where we are on all of this.
Look, were the shelves empty of toilet paper? Because look, if there's any sort of warning here, toilet paper's
That's the first thing to go. Well, Doug, listen, oh, wow. Hope everyone can still see me. Can you still see me on your end? I don't know if you can see me. It looks like, I think Doug has left the building, but it looks like, I'm pretty sure Doug's going to be back. So let me check here really quickly. And Doug, are you back?
Yeah, I started spinning, and that got me. It looked like I was in the tornado, but no, we're good to go now.
All right, really quickly, Justin, by the way, and I know we're talking football, but we do mention a couple other things. Were you at the OU softball game? Seriously, was that were you watching it on TV or were you there? Because, man, that's a cool place to be. There's very little in this state like OU softball about this time of year. But as we are here, hey, listen, let's get into football now, and let's talk about a couple of things. We have a list tonight that would love to go over with you because it is, it's that time of year, and Justin watching televised. That's okay, man. That's all right. OU softball's a big deal. We have a list, and it's March. So, Doug, we can't talk about live football, so it's that time of year we have to talk about lists. We'll get to that in a moment, but here's a list that currently the number on this list, Doug, is 17, and that is the number of schools that will have a new head coach on the sideline. Not necessarily a brand new head coach that's never been a head coach before, but one new to that school for 2026. That number has moved to 17 now, as we had a couple of them come up while we were doing other things. And among those, the Clark Pride will have a new head coach, Adam Hicks, who had been with the program for, well, actually since its inception back in 2019 when Coach Miguel Regalado was there. He left Baker, went to Clark, started that program, and Doug is sure not appearing in this film at the moment, so we'll catch up with Doug here again in just a moment. But he went to Clark, started the program there, and then it was he came back to Baker Coach Adam Hicks stepped in, and he has now stepped out. So that vacancy has not been filled yet. So that's number one. Also, during this time, Briar Cliff announced last week that they're not going to be. It's not going to be Coach Ledecky anymore. However, he's staying local. Coach Shane Ledecky is stepping down as the head coach for the Chargers. He's staying local. He's taking a high school program not far away. And in his place, Coach Nathan Koziel is taking over. And Coach Koziel, and I believe I have that pronounced correctly, was the associate head coach and defensive coordinator under Coach Ledecky. Smooth transition. Both of them have an amazing amount of respect for each other. And so that's going to be, I think, when you have a transition like that, and it's easy to take care of, you know what's expected of the program. Coach Koziel seemed, at least it came across in an interview that I saw with him online, he is just thrilled, and he was considering the possibility to put your feet in the water, step that toe in the water, and say, hey, listen, I'd like to have a head coaching gig someday. And then it opened up right there in Sioux City, so he was thrilled about that. That's a props to him. Glad that he's able to get it. So there are two of them, Clark and Briar Cliff, that have come about since we last had a chance to visit. Shout out to Matt, by the way. And Matt, let me tell you something. We do know about what's going on up there in North Dakota. At least I know to an extent what's going on up there, because expected Coach Larson to be here tonight. We did have the invite out to Coach Larson, and he was going to be on the program. I just want to let you know, I was thinking of you. I actually told Mrs. Midwest Sportsnet that, hey, listen, one of our guys in the community is going to be happy because we have a coach from Mayville State up there. And unfortunately today, Coach Larson, gave the text and said, hey, I'm sorry. Because of the winter storm, and Coach Larson is also the athletic director there at Mayville State, the duties, well, they took precedent in trying to get all the things done that needed to be done. And I don't know if I need to go into everything, but he had a lot of stuff to do today, and he's just not able to be with us tonight. But that is due to the winter storm there in North Dakota. So, Matt, I'm glad to see that you survived. And I hope everyone all around is surviving that one too. I mentioned just a little bit earlier that the wind blew the siding off, or not all of the siding, some of the siding off the house. It's up near Jolie's room on the second floor up there. So that's one of the reasons I didn't try to get too much right now, because it's so windy, and getting the ladder out was just a little bit uncomfortable. So I said, you know what, I'm going to pray for this one and say, all right, Father, go ahead and keep the rest of that siding on for the rest of the time, and we'll go from there. Doug, you back with us? Can you hear us?
I guess I am. Look, the hamsters need to work overtime, I guess, that are running.
It could be the wind, man. You're telling us about all that stuff you have going on out there.
It's a mess down here. It really is. And it blows through, and they're expecting the worst of it for us between 8 and 10 o'clock. So we're right on the cusp of it now. But it's typical Louisiana weekend.
All right. Well, if you go dark, let us know. Send us a text, and
yep.
And then we'll just go on without.
If it happens to us again, then I'm probably going to shut it down for the evening.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope it doesn't. But anyway, all right. So, Doug, we were talking about Clark and Briar Cliff. And then a couple other things really quickly. Then along the head coaching front, Texas Wesleyan has their man, and it is Fran Johnson. He's been the offensive coordinator for the last 5 seasons, which means, Doug, he's been there under not just one, but 2 separate head coaches, Coach Prudhomme, and then if Coach Sherrod was there. And under that span, or during that span, 43 wins. It's pretty nice when you can keep that kind of consistency. He's been there. He knows the program, and what a great hire.
Look, I think that in this type of turnover too, because they got kind of blindsided. I think this is the perfect hire because it keeps consistency in the program. In a program like Tex West, at the level that they're at right now, you want consistency above all things. And you've got a lot of players that could leave if there's somebody that come in, but they know. And their comfort level is there, and that's what you want to do if you want to keep that program not missing a beat.
Absolutely, and I think that is definitely what they're going to see there. So we'll follow that one too. So that's the third one, and then the fourth one. And Doug, I mentioned this to on a members only video. Talked about what I knew, a little bit about what I know, and because we haven't seen anything since then, and I just found out a couple of weeks ago when I was up doing PA at Oklahoma City University. I had a chance to visit with the athletic director from Langston. Coach Rogers is fantastic. Coach Donita Drain Rogers, who is in the Red River Athletic Conference Hall of Fame, Doug, just
Yes.
so you know. She's the athletic director there at Langston, longtime coach. I still call her coach. She and I were talking about it. There is going to be an announcement sometime very soon. I thought it might happen this week, and it didn't. So there will be an announcement very soon. So I just want to let people know, okay, Langston, as of now, with no announcement, Doug, they're at day 117 without a head coach. So now that doesn't mean they don't have one. They just haven't said anything.
So, and I wasn't on the trip, and I'm not privy to the information by any means of it. But it's what I talked to you about on that earlier talk about Texas Wesleyan too. You better have somebody that's coming in that has the locker room, that knows the kids, that knows the folks. And I think this late in the game, they better find somebody internally.
Yeah, I completely understand, and spring ball is here, so those are things that need to be underway. So no announcement.
And
that
LC
seen,
has almost wrapped theirs up.
Yeah, I know these things happen at different times for different programs, but
yeah, that's
Doug,
right.
Doug, we can still hear him, so you're still good here. All right, let's get to something else in really quickly. We were going to have Coach Larson on tonight, and I explained why he wasn't able to be here. So let's get on into something else. How about, Doug, we talk about top programs from the 2020s. Now, these lists can either make some people happy or make some people upset, and I know that that's what happens along the way. But the 2020s, man, it's more than halfway over.
That's the most upsetting part of it. You turn around and look at this and the times, and this is 26. So I'm looking at 2027. My firstborn is going to be celebrating his 10-year reunion out of high school in next season. I'm like, gosh, that really makes him and his brother old. That not me, but
not you.
As I looked at that list, and kudos for the work that you did on that list too. But there are some real.
Man, if we lose Doug at this point, that's going to be frustrating, but we may. And so we wish Doug the best. He may have to comment on this a little bit later on, but we want to stay with it. So here we have our list, and I pitched this one to Doug. So if you're watching this and you're saying, all right, man, guys, I don't like this list. Doug's been doing a lot of things outside of college football this week lately. And he has a lot going on there in Louisiana with all the high school softball and more. So I'm pitching this list, and Doug, as of a text, okay, let's we're on the air, we're live, and I just got the text from Doug, and he says, okay, not only has he lost the internet, but the power is out there too. So Doug's going to have to watch this one a little bit later on. But we've done a college football this week or two before solo, so we'll just do it solo right now. So shout out to Doug, and I let him know that I'm praying for him, so I am praying for him, and I'll continue that over the course of the night. So we're just going to let you know what's going on with Doug. So we're flying solo. That means, guys, I need all the help I can get from the chat. So community, Matt, Justin, anyone else that's watching in the community, please don't be afraid to go ahead and let your opinion be known tonight. All right, top 10 programs of the 2020s. Now, here is how I'm going to set this up. Ordinarily, with a list like this, I might say, you know what, we're going to look back and we're going to look at the last 5 years. But because the 2020s, actually, there's 6 years involved, so we're going to put it all the way through. It's not going back that far to get actually 2020 involved here. However, though, not everyone played in 2020. And so that kind of factors into this list just a little bit, and you'll see what conference it hits probably more than any other. And we'll go in when we're done. We'll talk about some of the teams that are on the outside of this list looking in. Maybe you have a list of your own. That's fine. I think it would be fun to get to see and hear from you all on what you think along these lines. But 2020's top 10 programs of the 2020s so far. Okay, so that's the caveat in there, so far. Okay, let's bring that list up here. And here we go with number 10 program in the 2020s so far in NAI football. The Dickinson State Blue Hawks. The Blue Hawks were members of the North Star Athletic Association for a long time, not the entirety of their history as a program, but for a long time, and made the move to the Frontier Conference for the 2025 season. Now, that means this is a Frontier Conference team as of this list right now. 48-18 over this 6-year span. Not bad. 5 playoff appearances. 1-5 during those playoff appearances, and 5 conference championships as well. As a matter of fact, they had won 9 consecutive North Star Conference titles coming into the Frontier Conference, and wow, what a run. And Matt, you're right. Dickinson ruled the North Star, and there's just no two ways about it. Under Coach Pete Stanton, who's been the coach there all of this time, and one of the things for Coach Stanton, I mean, he is currently at 95 wins as a head coach, 95-29 in his tenure at Dickinson State. And I just have to say, I think I would have put Dickinson State a little bit higher, but this last season, going 3-7 in 2025, kind of kept them out of that just a little bit. And also, one of the things, again, I didn't give you all the rules in there too, I think playoff appearances and playoff success counts big time in this list too. So the Blue Hawks just 1-5 in the playoffs during the 2020s, but the 3-7 season has them down maybe a little bit, but still in the top 10 in our list here on college football this week. And you're right, Matt. Let's go ahead and put that one up there. I've had a chance to visit with Coach Stanton a few times on Midwest Sportsnet and doing the previews and all that. He also functions as the director of athletics as well. And you are exactly right. What a class act. Absolutely a class act. I thoroughly enjoy visiting with him. Runs a solid program, football and otherwise, and I appreciate every single chance I get to visit with him. So Dickinson State on this list, top 10 programs in the 2020s so far, comes in at number 10. Number 9, also from the Frontier Conference, the College of Idaho Yotes. Wow. And Justin, you're right. How difficult is that conference? It is an amazingly difficult conference. I think you probably asked that rhetorically. There are only 2 teams in the list that are from the Frontier Conference, and a big reason is because they just beat each other up so badly that's it. I mean, we're looking at Dickinson State, College of Idaho, 47-14 during the 2020s, made 2 playoff appearances, just 2 playoff appearances, and yet had 4 wins in the playoffs. Both of them were runs to the semifinals, and that should have made that on that graphic there as well. I think I had it there, maybe just took it off. Coach Mike Morosky, what a fantastic coach. And we want to talk about some class acts in here. He is one of those as well. Absolutely a fantastic gentleman, former NFL quarterback. I remember watching him play when I was just a wee little Joey back tween years, I believe. I'm not sure I was a teenager yet. I think I was just a little bit younger than that, maybe 11 or 12. Anyway, but watched him play for the Atlanta Falcons, and definitely remember that name. I remember, and if you want to talk about, just for the moment about watching the NFL back in the 80s, I remember that if you had ski in your name, you had to be a quarterback, because there was Mike Morosky, there was also Steve Bartkowski, who played for the Falcons as well. I believe he was there right before Mike Morosky, before or after. Anyway, someone would probably know that about my age. Doug would probably know that because he's about my age. And then, of course, Ron Jaworski, who played in that same time period for the Philadelphia Eagles. So that was a big part of that. You had to have that name to be a quarterback in the NFL. The College of Idaho Yotes, number 9 program in the 2020s so far. And again, playoff success, yeah, they had some. All right, let's go on to number 8. The Dordt Defenders, Dort, 48-16 over the course of these last 6 years. Coach Joel Penner has this program going in the right direction, and it was steadily moving up, but it has done nothing but go up since Coach Penner took over, and absolutely just win after win after win. Had a couple of 5-win seasons, and then in the 2020s and starting in 2020, 7-win season. Every single season has been at least 7 wins or more, and that's really something that kept a couple of the teams out. Just didn't have a season or a series of seasons like that. Only 3 playoff appearances, 1-3 during that time, but did get 1 win in the playoffs, and that's why we have Dort in that number 8 position. And again, class act. My goodness, I think there's a pattern here. Number 7, the Marion Knights, 50 wins in this 6-year stretch, and 50-13. The Knights with 5 playoff appearances. I have them listed at 3-4 with the asterisk. Okay, so we know, kind of what happened this year, and there was an ineligible player played, I believe, in 3 games, and so Marion did win its playoff game, was looking to go take on Kaiser after that, and unfortunately, Marion did not get to continue in its playoff run because of that. So I'm going to say 3-4 overall in their playoff appearances under Coach Mark Henninger, who was there for a long, long time. Coach Henninger at the head of the program, 92 wins. And then Coach Ted Karras Jr. came back to the program that he started. So Coach Karras Jr. there now continues those appearances in the playoff, 5 in 6 years for the Marion Knights. They're at number 7 in our list of top 10 programs in the 2020s so far. How about number 6, the Benedictine Ravens? 3 playoff appearances during that time, 57-16 over those 6 years, 5-3 in the playoffs, 2 semifinal appearances, just like College of Idaho, and under longtime coach Larry Wilcox, who made his mark on the program and Atchison as a whole, 305 wins under Coach Wilcox, and then, of course, Coach Osborne comes in. No stranger to national championship success himself on the D2 level. Coach Wilcox coming in, and, well, I didn't mention a lot of names of some of these players I was thinking about over the years. I got thrown off a little bit when Doug had stepped out, though. Let's start with Benedictine. How about Jackson Dooley? Just in recent years. And prior to him, Garrett Kettle at quarterback, Dalton Witherspoon, great player there. Jacob Gathright, one of the most successful receivers that they had there as well. Gavin Spangler, Xavier Ugorgi in recent years. So the Benedictine Ravens there, number 6 in our program, or in our list today. Let's go on. And from here on out, every single team has at least one national championship to its credit, so that's why they are up the list as far as they are. Number 5, the Lindsey Wilson Blue Raiders, 1 national championship to their credit in the 2020s. It happened in 2020, as a matter of fact. Well, the 2020 season. It was in the spring of 21, but it was in the 2020 season. 54-13 over that stretch. 4 playoff appearances during that time, 8-3, and the Blue Raiders led by Coach Chris Oliver, who took them to the national championship, but also in recent years, after Coach Oliver went to Georgetown, head coach for a little while, then he stepped out of that position. He's now the director of athletics, or full-time director of athletics. And at, all the names, Tay Saunders in recent years, and Tate Rice, by the way, pretty good quarterback as well. Kaya Sherrard, Cameron Dukes led them to that national championship back in 2020. What a fantastic career he had. Michael Leslie, a part of that championship run as well. Tobias Dawson in recent years. So the Lindsey Wilson Blue Raiders in our countdown at number 5. Another top program in the 2020s. And I have Northwestern here at number 4. Now, you may have... Well, we'll talk about it as we go on. This one was close. This one was really, really, really close. Okay? So Northwestern 65-13 during this span. 1 national championship to the Red Raiders credit. And of course, we follow the Blue Raiders with the Red Raiders here. That was in 2022. Northwestern has 5 playoff appearances, 9-4 in those playoff appearances, and made it to the championship game 3 times during this stretch. 2 National Players of the Year in Tyson Koima and Jalen Gramstad, and under Coach Mike McCarty. And Coach McCarty, again, what a fantastic career. He has 96 wins and 26 losses. He's one of 2 coaches, along with Coach Pete Stanton, that I think could and should hit that 100 win mark in 2026. And let's see here, Matt. Hard to make a case that the North Star was that tough overall because a single team was so dominant. And that's true. And that's absolutely true. And you put Jamestown in the mix there too. Let me bring this back up. You put Jamestown in the mix there too, Matt. And Jamestown, of course, has gone to Division II. But Valley City State, very solid program. Mayville State is coming along. And one of the things I want to talk about with Coach Larson, I mean, it just keeps getting better and better with every single season. Back-to-back years of 5 wins, but still it just continues to get better. Dakota State, absolutely. Dakota State, talk about them. Waldorf wasn't bad. Waldorf fell off when it hit the GPAC. So say what you will about that. That conference change has not been easy for Waldorf. But, yeah, there were some good teams in the North Star, but Dickinson State just made everyone look like they were, playing for second place all the time, which really they were. But the Frontier is legit. And so Dickinson State, I'm going to say they're representing the Frontier in this one. Let's go back to Northwestern for a second. Talk about Jalen Gramstad. What a fantastic player he was. Tyson Koima, what a fantastic player he was. Connor McQuillan, one of the best running backs in the country in the past 6 years. Parker Fryer, great career he had. Ben Egley and Levi Egley on the defensive side of the ball. A couple of players that are former wrestlers, and I mean big-time wrestlers on top of that too. Eli Stater, didn't mention too many kickers, but, man, he had some big, big kicks for the Northwestern Red Raiders. So I have them at number 4. Again, 65-13, number 4. This was a really, really tough call between number 4 and number 3. And at number 3, we have the Morningside Mustangs. 65-10. Same amount of wins between the 2 of them, each one with 1 national championship. Now, Northwestern made it to 3 championship games. Morningside, 2 National Players of the Year. Joe Dolenchek, he won it twice. 6 playoff appearances over that stretch instead of 5. 6-5, though, in those playoffs, and that's where Northwestern had a little bit more there. 5 conference championships. Northwestern won the other one in the year that Morningside didn't win. And Steve Ryan, who's been in the program for 24 years, 25 years now. He's been there a long, long time. 249-50. That's his record. Not 249. It's 249 wins to 50 losses. Prior to that playoff loss this year, Coach Ryan's record had 200 more wins exactly than it did losses. That is an incredible number for Coach Ryan. So shout out to him. And we want to talk about some of the players over the years. Dolenchek, we talked about him, the National Player of the Year twice. AP Ponder, what a great running back. Reed Juergensmeyer, one of the best receivers they had. Now, that's not to take away from Drew Sellen, who is also one of the best receivers there. Some big-time names over the years. John Walls, Zach Chevalier, good quarterback. I mean, there are lots of names we could mention. It came down in this decision to that last line there. Morningside in the playoffs, 1-1 versus Northwestern. But overall, Morningside got the better of Northwestern, 5-3 overall, and that included some wins that helped Morningside win its conference championship 5 times in those 6 years. So the slight edge from number 3 to number 4, we have Morningside over Northwestern, but just by a little bit there. So there you go. Jamestown in the GPAC, all but 1 year in the 2000s. Yeah, that's true too. But just dropping some other names out there to think about who all was in the league and in recent years. Okay, so there's number 3. Any ideas who numbers 2 and number 1 are? Okay, you probably do. We'll go ahead and read them off anyway. Number 2, the Kaiser Seahawks, 65 wins to just 12 losses. 1 national championship along the way, but 4 straight championship game appearances, and that runs through 2025. What an incredible run for the Kaiser Seahawks. 6 playoff appearances, and their number of playoff appearances goes back beyond just the 2020s as well. But 6 playoff appearances, 16-5 during the 2020s under Coach Doug Sosha until 2024, and Coach Miles Russ took over there, and of course 2 more championship game appearances under his head coaching as well. Kaiser with some big-time names: Shea Spencer, Marquise Burgess, Jaden Meisinger, Jaden Miller, all those running backs, you have to list those. Tyler Logo, what a great job he's done on defense. And I want to mention a couple other names too. Wyatt Brooks, because if Michael Brooks is watching this at some point in time, I want him to know that his deep snapper, long snapper grandson was a part of that program and made quite a run there too. So a shout out to him along the way. And how about one more name on this list? Justin Wake. Justin Wake. What a big time. You want to talk about next man up. Justin Wake was all about next man up because quarterbacks got hurt at Kaiser during this stretch run. And in the championship game, the starting quarterback had gone down, but Justin Wake was there. He had played in 5 games previous over the course of the season, hadn't completed double digits passes in any game in the season so far. And a month and a half after his last or most recent appearance in a game, he was called upon to step up in the national championship game against Northwestern in 2023, and step up he did. 10 for 15 passing, 1 touchdown thrown. Now, granted, he had some help. He had some help along the way. The ground game was fantastic. The defense was fantastic. But what a big-time next man up story that was. And he's a part of the coaching staff now. And really, I would think, has to be a legend at Kaiser. So a shout-out to Justin Wake and what he did at the program there at Kaiser. And, of course, the number 1 team in NAIA in the 2020s has to be Grandview. There's no way around it. 73-4. 73-4 in 6 years. And the only 4 losses came in the playoffs. That's right. No regular season losses for Grandview. 58-0 during this stretch. That is overwhelmingly a big-time number. 2 national championships, 3 championship game appearances, and the only championship game appearance in which they fell to a very tough Morningside team. Hey, by the way, shout out to Dave. Thanks for catching up, Dave. A very tough Morningside team in 2021 who had won 3 championships in 4 years in that stretch. Now, Morningside's 2 national championships in 2018 and 2019 don't count for this list, but it was a big-time Morningside team then. So that loss, that's just one. 2 National Players of the Year. Jackson Waring, twice. He was the National Player of the Year twice. 6 playoff appearances, 15-4 during the playoff run under coaches Joe Woodley for 5 of those years, and who, by the way, is now an assistant coach on a Division I program in Rutgers. Was a head coach of a D1 program at Drake for a season. Grandview, Jackson Waring. We say that over again. How about Johnny Sullivan? Man, he led the charge for quite a while there for Grandview as well. Jackson Filer, John Argo, 2 big-time defensive studs on that Vikings team, part of the program. Tristan Waugh, one as well. So, boy, those are some big offensive names, some big defensive names, and that is the list. So I'll leave that up there for just a second. Justin. All right, let me read this one. Obviously, I'm a little biased. That's a solid top 10 for sure. This last season hurt Baker's chance in the top 10, and being unsuccessful in the playoffs hurts as well. You're exactly right. And Baker was one of those teams on the outside looking in. Now, it's okay to be biased, Justin. I hope everybody in the chat is biased. So, Dave, if you've caught up and you're getting caught up, well, Morningside was number 3, but I did have them a little bit above Northwestern the overall record over Northwestern was what did it, each with a national championship during this time. Let's talk about some teams on the outside looking in. Baker's one of those teams on the outside looking in. And I think Concordia also close. Baker's numbers were better. Last season was rough, and the just not having the success during the 2020s in the playoffs. That's the thing as well. But wow, Coach Regalado, when he stepped back in, I think it just made all the difference in the world. And he's talked about that here on the channel as well. Let me pull that list down since we're talking about some of these other teams too. He's talked about that here on the channel as well. I'm just now looking at the monitor. I've been working outside a lot more. I can tell. Man, do I look sunburned? Wow. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Just hadn't been looking at the monitor. There we go. All right. Let's go back. Baker's one of those teams on the list. And again, Coach Regalado, he stepped back in, and it was one of the first things I think that we ever talked about when we were visiting for a preview for the Wildcats. And he said, we've just needed to right the ship. We need to remind people what playing at Baker is all about. And Baker, the winningest program in NAI football, all-time winningest program in NAI football. So, yeah. But no, listen, Justin, I want you to be biased. You just be as biased as you need to be. Other teams that we looked at, that I looked at, OUAZ has had a good season, or a good 2020s. Ottawa, Arizona, 42-10. Only Grandview has fewer losses during this stretch. Now, Kaiser, I think, has 10 even. No, it was Morningside that has 10 losses during the stretch. So Morningside and OUAZ each with 10 losses. Only Grandview has fewer losses during the stretch. OUAZ didn't make the list, though. 2 playoff appearances, 2 losses, and you just had to make some noise there, and they did not. So they were on the outside looking in. Texas Wesleyan, also from the Sooner, 2 playoff appearances, no wins. 44-13, Texas Wesleyan. And then let's look at these teams from the Frontier Conference who are on my list on the outside looking in. Carroll, Montana Tech, and Montana Western. Carroll, 40-18, 3 playoff appearances, went 1-3. Montana Tech, 40-16, 3 playoff appearances, went 1-3. 3 straight playoff appearances, as a matter of fact, as we've come through these last 3 years, 23, 24, 25. Montana Western, 41-15, 1 win better there, 3 playoff appearances, 1-3. It was just tough to get anyone past Dickinson State. And I'll tell you the things about that. And this is where I say it's okay to be biased. I'm going to be a little bit biased here because it is my list, so I'm going to be a little biased. Not playing in 2020 hurt those teams for being on this list. And I fully believe that this is a list, and it's when you look back on it, because we said so far many, many times, when the next 4 years play out, that it's something that will rectify itself. I felt like and I'm on record. You can, if you want to go back and look on the channel, I am on record on this channel and on my Bryan County Patriot channel, as well as saying we need to be playing football in the fall of 2020. And I felt that way. If you don't feel that way, I'm not mad at you. You don't have to be mad at me. You can if you want to. It's fine. But I was of the firm belief that we are overreacting to things in the world and that we need to play football. And so that's one of those things. And the Hart Conference, and I will give a shout out to Lori Thomas. Nick Rule, the conference commissioner of the Hart Conference now, who was an athletic director in the conference back then. We've talked about this, but I visited with Coach Thomas, and she said the Hart Conference is going to play. In the fall of 2020, she said we are going to play football. I believe the SEC set such a big pace for everyone. There were conferences who said, no, we're not going to. The SEC said, yes, we will. There are things that the SEC in Division I thinks too highly of themselves about, but I will always support that. And I will always support Lori Thomas and the Hart Conference saying, we're going to play football in 2020. And they did. And so, I think that not playing in 2020 kept these teams kind of off that list. Not their fault, not their coach's fault. Again, I'm not mad at them. I'm not mad at you. You don't have to be mad at me. But I think that this list will rectify itself in the next 4 years, and some of these teams will probably be on there. So let me answer this question, and it's a very good question as well. Let me see if I get that back on there. Friends? Friends is not the Friends of today until Terry Harrison gets there. And I mean that. The previous coach, Dion, trying to recall, Manili, great guy. Loved Coach Manili. He really was a great guy. But the program was not where it needed to be. And Coach Harrison took it from where it was. Had one win the year before Coach Harrison got there. Had 4 wins his first year. 7 wins the next year, 7 or 9. Anyway, it's done nothing but go up. And so the wins don't add up. So for the 2020 so far, Matt, to your point, that's why Friends is on the outside looking in there too. And I think Montana Tech might have jumped them anyway, but will Friends likely be on this list at the end of the 2020s? Man, it's hard to say no, they wouldn't be on this list because, I mean, they're just rolling. And I don't see a stoppage. Can anyone find anything in there that say, hey, listen, Friends is going to stop? Now, Cavante Baker he's expended his eligibility, so he's not going to be with the program anymore. I'm pretty sure that Coach Harrison probably has someone in the wings that's coming up. We haven't visited about this. I'd like to. Coach Harrison, he's a friend. And you want to talk about these class act guys? Yeah, he's another one of those that's a class act. But we haven't visited about that. We haven't previewed Friends for 2026, so I'm waiting to see who's there. But I can't imagine him not having someone there. And, the Terry Harrison factor is real. It is a real thing. All right. Hey, Tool Envy, glad you could make it tonight. You ought to be happy with the list, Tool Envy. Just so you know, I'm just letting you know you should be happy with that list. List with an asterisk. Yeah, maybe. Probably. I think there's so many things that have an asterisk with it because of 2020. And I always thought when I was a wee little Joey, way back when, as one of my students in college said, back in the 1900s, this is how they did it. And I informed that student. I said, well, let me tell you, this is how we did it in the 1900s, and more than half of my life was spent in the 1900s. I don't think it's that bad a place. But back in the 1900s, I remember people were setting goals for the year 2020. And they would always set their goals as this is a vision year. Why? Because 2020, eyesight. This is what we're setting our goals, and we're going to see clearly, and we're pushing on toward 2020. Man, that was not what we thought it was going to be when I was just a wee little Joey back in the 1900s. And I think there are a lot of lists that have asterisks by them that, anything that has to do with 2020. Speaking of lists and asterisks that could change things, I'm hearing more things. This is just, I'm going to take the conversation. Let's wind down. And I still would love to hear how you think about it. Tool Envy, what do you think about the list? Justin's already said what he thinks about the list. Matt, Dave, anyone else have comments on the list? By the way, if you're watching us tonight and you have not made your presence known in the community, please do. Doug had the power go out in Louisiana, so we're praying for Doug. We want him to be all right tonight. But that's why he had to step out a little bit earlier. Actually, he was knocked off the air like 3 times and finally just gave up. So that's Doug's is Sir not appearing in this film tonight. But I was hearing a little bit more. I've been gone the last couple of weeks. I was gone Sunday the 1st, and I was up doing PA for the OCU cheer and dance competition up in Oklahoma City. Love doing that. Absolutely enjoy it. It's a fantastic event. And like I said, had a chance to visit with Langston's AD up there. Then this past Sunday was in Fort Smith, Arkansas, and it was Championship Sunday for the Great American Conference basketball tournament. So had a chance to broadcast 14 games in 4 days. Love doing that every year. My voice is just now recovering, and I don't know why it took it such a hit this time. I actually have I've got some tea right here in my nondescript cup, Doesn't have a school logo on it, so it's just right there, nondescript. And I'm hearing more about the 5 years in, or 5 years of eligibility in 5 years, the whole 5 for 5. And I know Division II had the chance to do something about this, and they punted. And then NAI had something, where they were going to vote on it as well, and they punted. I think that there's pressure. I'm hearing that D2 especially probably felt some pressure from D1 saying, no, you're not going to do something that we can't do. Just different things I've heard along the way in recent weeks as well. Oh, by the way, speaking of cheer and dance, just will let you know that we will have shows on Sunday night from here on for the foreseeable future. But as we wrap up tonight, big things in store for Midwest Sportsnet. I know that Doug has a lot of big things going for 446 Sports, but we have some big things coming up that will start right at 2 months from now. And it looks like we'll be doing a Midwest Sports Saturday in Topeka, Kansas. We're about 99% sure we'll be doing a Midwest Sports Saturday from Topeka, Kansas, 13 days from today. So in the meantime, what do you think about the list? I think it's a good way to fill that gap. Shout out to Coach Rocky Larson again, Matt. He says he wants to be on. We've tried twice now, and both the times that we've had an opportunity or thought we had an opportunity to get Coach Larson on the show, he had to step away. So I hate that, but a shout out to him as well, and we know that we'll get him on the program too. Matt says, all right, let's give our comments from Matt. Anyone else want to get into the comments tonight before we wrap things up for episode 50? Good with the list. Had North Star tunnel vision until finding Midwest Sportsnet. Man, Matt, you made my day. That's absolutely great. That is absolutely great. We'll take that. We will take that. All right, Justin. Okay, the October 31st date, which Doug and I have been saying we're going to go somewhere in particular for a Midwest Sports Saturday, and Justin is saying Mid-American Nazarene at Baker. Man, and those they're not too far away from one another. I'm sure you've been up there and seen that, Justin. They're really not that far away from one another. That one could be fun. All right. If Doug is listening, hopefully Doug goes back and watches this one. If he's listening, he needs to put this one on the list. That's a potential one right there. I still want to make Mid-American Nazarene at the new facility. So I'm just saying that would be 2 Mid-American Nazarene. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. That would be fun to do that. It's always a privilege to get to visit with Coach Regalado too, so that'll be cool. All right, we'll put this one in the mix, Justin. I think that would be a fun one. Matt, glad you're good with the list. Dave, man, I appreciate you checking in. We had a Drew Sellen mentioned tonight already in the broadcast, so that's good. Tool Envy, shout out to Tool Envy because of course he gave us the wave. Yeah, here's the wave. All right. And Randy, hey, okay. Showed up just for Doug's power outage. Blame it on. I'm going to blame it on you, Randy. Absolutely. The list is correct. The schools on the outside record are on the outside. The records don't warrant their inclusion. Valid, Randy. Absolutely valid. We didn't even talk that much about Texas Wesleyan and the move up to D2. We'll have to mention that a little bit more as we go on. In case you didn't know, Texas Wesleyan is making that move up, which we did announce here on the show. Pretty sure we announced that on the show. So if we didn't, we'll talk about that a little bit more. Hey, Randy, hope everything's all right where you are and where everyone is. Justin, I'm sure you're still getting wind. We're still getting wind here. I'm on the south side of the house, so I can't hear it as much right now. Tool Envy and Matt and Dave and everyone else watching us tonight, hey, listen, get through the weather. It's supposed to get cold tonight in North Dakota. Man, Matt, your weather escaped. We'd like for you to take it back, please, because it's going to be below freezing here. And Mrs. Midwest Sportsnet, I'm glad. You know what? I'm really glad we said this. I didn't remind her to take her plants in, so this is going to be good. This is bonus points for me. I'm going to remind Mrs. Midwest Sportsnet to take her plants in because it's supposed to be below freezing here tonight. Okay, all right. Justin, last note from Justin. 3 2A state champions sign with Southwestern, and one other Adair transfer to South. Okay, wow. So you have the Adair connection going to the Mound Builders. Not bad. Not bad at all. It's not that far a drive either. So there we go. I like your Wildcat in your logo too. That's pretty cool. We know who you're cheering for. All right, we know who you're cheering for too. I want to know who you all are cheering for. We'll talk about that more next Sunday night. We will have another coach on with us. I'm really excited about that. And hopefully Doug's internet will be back and going strong, and we'll have Doug back on the program as well. You know, college football this week, we've made it 50 episodes. Now, that's not to say there have only been 50 videos that have been put on Midwest Sports Net. That's not even close. And for Doug and his channel, there are many, many more than 50 videos on 446 Sports. But it's been a privilege to get to talk to you all. I tell Mrs. Midwest Sportsnet every time, and I will do it again. When I'm done here, I will also tell her, by the way, that Matt made my night. But when I'm done here, I'll go upstairs, and Mrs. Midwest Sportsnet will say, "How was it?" And I'll say, first off, please go take your plants in from outside because it's going to get below freezing. And secondly, I have the best community in the world. You guys are awesome. It is a privilege every time to get to visit with you all. You make my night every single week. So next Sunday night, if you're a member, we'll talk at least once this week, maybe twice. Don't forget on Midwest Sportsnet, the previews get underway even more. Volleyball and football this week, and 2 months from today, a special arc that will run through Midwest Sportsnet for quite a while, and it's going to be a big endeavor. So I encourage you, if you have not already subscribed to the channel, please do, and tell a friend and maybe even other people in your household, hey, they need to subscribe to Midwest Sportsnet. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate you all. Let me make sure that everything is intact. It is indeed. God bless you all. Have a good night. We'll see you next Sunday night.